was a dark and stormy night, nor'easter rolling in. It's a long 12 hours, the power's out again. I pray for inner strength and that we don't lose no lives. Just another day in the first responders' eyes. Half a cup of coffee's gone, the first run comes in. A car slid off the road, there's a family trapped within. My heart beats like a hammer, I can barely catch my breath. I'm thinking the worst and hoping for the best. Yeah, we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. It's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this burden when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone. Now my shift is finally over, I gotta deal with what's mine and try to find a way to leave those tragedies behind. So I hug my 2 children, I kiss on my wife. Just another day in the first responder's life. Yeah, we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. It's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this burden when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone. Flashing lights fill the air, broken bodies everywhere. Another bad dream is stealing my sleep. 'Cause we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. And it's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this hurting when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone, it keeps going on. When those sirens are gone.
Welcome to the award-winning Mad Radio. I am your host, Sam, and John will hopefully be joining us very soon. We are your First Responders Network. I want to welcome everybody to the show tonight. Tonight we've got, I'm just going to say it's going to be a bit of a heart-wrencher here. Every week we talk about healing our heroes and what it means to be a first responder out there. And tonight is no different. John and I, we are just getting off a fantastic workshop through our organization called A Badge of Honor, where we talk about post-traumatic stress and suicide awareness for our first responders. We, together with our partners, we are so incredibly blessed to have reached almost, we're creeping up on the 200 first responder mark to get the word out there, because you are not alone and you do not have to suffer with some of the images that, we saw in our show intro that we haven't had on in a while. And, it's important to know that you have help out there. And as the years go by, so many more organizations come forward to help our first responders, whether it's survivors or, officers themselves, offering counseling, offering retreats, offering, doing physical activities like, fishing or paddling, or, I'm in Texas, so the first thing I thought of is fishing. It is a form of therapy that we'll call it non-traditional. And we just need to keep our first responders, we need to hold them up. We need to support them, because right now what is going on in our world, this is a worldwide epidemic, is attacks on police officers. People are no longer afraid to just, hey, give the police officers the middle finger. They're just not listening. And every day there's more and more incidents. We have had more police shootings and line of duty deaths in the last bunch of months that I can remember over the last bunch of years. And while we really focus on the aspect of mental health and brain health as a first responder, tonight we're going to have a conversation with a widow of a NYPD officer who, just like we lost another NYPD officer today, just like everybody out there, he was going to work just like every first responder. We don the uniform, we walk out the door, and in the back of our minds, we're thinking, I'm coming home tonight. But our jobs put us at a greater risk than doing, other kinds of jobs like sitting behind a desk. And so we are going to dive in tonight she is just a gem, Margaret Mosomillo. She is the Secretary of C.O.P.S, which is Concerns of Police Survivors. There's chapters of C.O.P.S all over the U.S. She's got a daughter who followed in her dad's footsteps and is now at the NYPD as well. And Margaret, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sam, and everyone out there.
Good. Can you, just move your camera a little bit, because we lost you out of the frame there. Move the other. There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Out of my glasses. Thank you, Sam, for having me. I think it's really important to get like a message out there if people need help, knowing that help is there. Our chapter is called Metro New York C.O.P.S, but there's chapters out there for first responders. That intro was deep. I thank you. I liked it. Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, it is deep. There are definitely things in that video that ping me every time I watch it, and I think it's a good reminder for people that that it's a first responder who is singing that song. It's not like he should be a big country star, but maybe he is now. But he's a first responder. He's pouring his heart out. He's telling it like it is. And speaking of telling it like it is, your husband, it was time for him to report for duty. Gets up, puts on his uniform, walks out the door. Take us through. I can't imagine what it was like, but take us through that day when we lost him.
It was a regular Tuesday. We were coming, it was Memorial Day weekend. So Tuesday was back to work. I went to work. Anthony worked 6 to 2s. He left that morning. He said goodbye. I was getting ready. We had a 2-year-old daughter. And the next thing I know, at 8 o'clock in the morning, someone was coming to get me at my job. They said there was an accident and that I was going over to Kings County Hospital. He was a warrant officer. He was executing a warrant, and this guy was out on an alias. It was supposed to be a routine bench warrant. He was not going down without a fight. There was a struggle with my husband, his partner, and she lost her gun, my husband's partner, and that's what they shot each other. So my husband died 8 hours later in surgery, and the perp died there in the apartment. So Anthony was shot 4 times, and they tried, to save his life, but 8 hours later he died in recovery.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just so heartbreaking on so many levels. Like you said, sometimes we take for granted it's like, oh, it's another bench warrant, it's this will be one and done, and we realize that as the years go on and the more warrants we serve. I mean, I remember my first, I was puking my guts up because I had all the memories from training and using munitions, and when we were doing the breach, getting shot up by my instructors, and that stays with you. So, I'm ready to do my first one for real, and there's not going to be paint coming back at you if somebody wants to do us harm. And it was something to think about. Knock on wood, everything and all the warrants that we did, nobody got hurt, but you just never know. And I think the more time that goes by, it's not necessarily a complacency, but it's hey, I'm comfortable with the fact that I have to do this as part of my job. Is that an accurate description?
Anthony never complained about going to work. I never worried about him. People used to say to me, your husband's a police officer, you must worry. I couldn't live my life that way. I didn't worry. He didn't worry. He went to work. He was level-headed. This was 23 years ago. It wasn't like it is now, what you see on the news where, people have no respect, like you said, for police officers. They're giving them the middle finger. Here they're throwing things at them. They're ready to attack. So we just lived life. He said goodbye. He did his job, but, things went horribly wrong, that day.
So you say that, you didn't worry. I really want our listeners to understand, since we changed the format tonight and we're doing this so that we're doing it this way so that people understand that first, we're not robots. We put on a gun, a badge, a uniform, but we're human. Yes, we have body armor, but that doesn't save our lives necessarily. And we've had a lot of officers that have been killed wearing body armor. This is not the movies. It's not going to bounce off, stuff like that. I want to paint a real picture, because when line of duty death happens, it affects the family who's left behind, your daughter. I'm going to say, I guess she was determined to honor your husband. Take us through how your daughter dealt with this, and she's a police officer now. God bless her.
My daughter was she had just turned 2 years old when Anthony died, and growing up, and it does make me very emotional. And I'm sorry, Sam. I'm sorry.
No, please. We're real.
She never wanted to talk about her father and about Anthony, and there were times where she'd say to me, "I don't know him. I'm sorry." And I would say, okay, and I'd let it go. When she was about 17, it was Anthony's 15th anniversary, and the precinct had a memorial and a rededication of a plaque. And we went, and she broke down. She broke down and she cried. And I feel that it took 15 years, for her to grieve. Followed by the 15 years, shortly after, a woman is serving, she was in jail she was sentenced to 15 years for life in helping, harbor the fugitive and assist in, the line of duty death of my husband, killing my husband.
Oh, so there was another,
yes.
I just want to so there was another person involved.
Yes.
Who helped the perpetrator, the person that your husband was trying to arrest to serve the warrant on, shoot Your husband.
Yes, they were in with the struggle with getting my husband's partner's gun. So there was a struggle, and so even though he died, the shooter, she was convicted of manslaughter in the killing death of my husband. She was sentenced to 15 years to life. Life being the key, but after 15 years, she was eligible for parole. So we went to a victim's impact. I was able to deliver an impact statement to the deputy commissioner and the parole board, and my daughter came. And then that's when, she heard everything, and then she started to grieve. And then only after she went to college, I find out that she's a criminal justice major. I thought that was kind of strange, and we didn't talk about it. And then she went to a school in New York. We're in New York, and the professors, some of them will pull her aside and say, Anthony Mosomillo, is that your dad? And she'd say yes. And they would say, I worked with him, or I knew him, or I've heard. And she's something just, I'm going to cry now, and I'm sorry, but she ultimately honored him, and she really does now put him up on the pedestal that I always thought she should have. But I'm glad though she got there on her own.
Yeah.
I never, we did tons of stuff with our police families and our other line of duty families. I never pushed, I talked about Anthony all the time. If it was going through and sinking in, it was, but I wanted him to be a part of, her life and to remember him. And she proudly, and I can say that, she proudly wears his badge now. She does.
Oh, she has. Okay. So she has his badge number
in New York, and I'm sure maybe other states too. When there's a line of duty death, they retire the badge. Mm-hmm. So his badge number was retired. And they took it, I guess, out of, retirement. She does wear it proudly. Wow. And she does love what she loves it. I guess it's something that you're born with. I don't know.
Yeah. I will definitely say that it is. From the time I was very, very young, if my mom was on the show, she'd be like, yep, Samantha's doing something with guns or emergency, or I watched all the show. I kind of shows, I immersed myself in that world, and it worked out the way it worked out. And I think it's just what a huge honor that your daughter is now wearing his badge. And we talk a lot, John and I talk a lot about that thin blue line, and how when there's a line of duty death, that line is stronger than ever. You say every year there's a memorial, and they did a dedication. And the interesting thing is, when somebody takes their own life, when an officer takes their own life because of post-traumatic stress, or they're just overwhelmed with the job, they don't see a way out. They're not asking for help. They just drowned in it. And they chose to complete suicide. The thin blue line kind of pushes back. Like, we're not so sure that we want to delve into this, because it's not a line of duty death. Now, for those of us that have been out for a while, we are of the opinion, and if John was here, he'd agree, that it kind of is, because but for all the trauma that you experienced on the job, you wouldn't think about taking your own life. It wouldn't even cross your mind. Your filing cabinet would not be full of the worst things that you could possibly see. And then, it comes all dumping out. It is a different line of work. And while we commend the NYPD and law enforcement agencies across our world for honoring those that have been killed in the line of duty, it's just one thing that we're still trying to wrestle with. We now have officers that are actually completing suicide while in uniform and on duty. Okay, so what do we call that, right? A line of duty death by own hand. We can argue the semantics all day, but it kind of is. So
I do believe that one day it will be ruled as a line of duty. And I do, especially in 2019, 18, 19, here in New York, and I'm sure it's, nationwide, the suicides that were happening. And I do believe that, there are people out there, they see it, they hear it, they know what's going on. And I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of time. Now, you are the secretary.
If anyone is feeling that out there, time does heal, wounds, and there is help. There is help out there. There is help out there.
Yeah, and let's talk about that help, because you are the secretary of C.O.P.S, which stands for Concerns of Police Survivors. You guys do a phenomenal job in the community. I thought you were all in New York. I just learned that you're nationwide.
Nationwide.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about C.O.P.S, what you do, and how people can reach out.
C.O.P.S, our chapter is the Metro New York C.O.P.S, and it's Concerns of Police Survivors. It started in 1984. Our chapter here was launched in 2012. Every state, almost, I don't want to misspeak, but almost every state has a chapter that they could reach out to. I know some states are very large, like, yourself, like Texas and Florida, and there are multiple, chapters around. And we offer bereavement groups. We offer just an outlet for people to go to where they can, where they can grieve, they can talk, they can feel, compassion with other people that are grieving on the same level. We welcome not just, widows. We welcome widows, parents, children, co-workers. The national headquarters is in Missouri. We have chapters there, and retreats. We have fiance retreats. Sometimes everyone talks about, like the widow. You know what? Officers also leave girlfriends behind, fiancés, significant others, partners, same-sex partners. There's just so many people that grieve on so many levels. And we're going to talk after, Sam, and I'm going to tell you all the chapters and everything that's out there.
Very cool. It's so important that there's an outlet. You hear about now that if there is a major incident, that crisis teams are brought in to do a crisis debrief for the department. It gets the officers talking on every different level, from the facts, where they were when a particular incident in the overall incident happened, how they're feeling now, and is there a time gap? So you have a line of duty death. Do you guys reach out directly to the widower? Yes. Or does it go the other way? Like, are you like on top of things, like, hey, we got you?
We're on top of things. We've already reached out to our new widow. Her husband had just passed away yesterday. We already reached out to her, have spoken with her. We reach out immediately. The NYPD also has a family assistance section that we work with. And when I say we, I'm a widow, I'm a fellow survivor. And that's who, someone, new wants to speak to, not just more police officers. 23 years ago, I would have liked that. I would have liked maybe another widow to come to me and speak to me hands-on. We've come a long way. We've come a long way in helping, to heal, the families.
And what does it look like in terms of support?
Oh, Sam, I don't know where to begin, because before COVID, COVID struck us really hard. And again, I'm only speaking for my state because that's all I have here, but NYPD is wonderful. I would say at times, if my husband only knew how the job has treated the family members since he passed away. We have I'm also a widow's liaison for the PBA, which is the Patrolman Benevolent Association. It's the union. The PBA is the union here in New York. And I deal closely and work closely with the families. If they call me a delegate, if they need anything, they'll come through me. If anything we need. We go on retreats ourselves. We take our other line of duty children and widows. We go twice a year. We go skiing in January. We go on a summer retreat. Every year we try to pick somewhere new. In 2019, we went to C.O.P.S. We were supposed to return in 2020, but obviously that didn't happen. We have to casinos. We go to Foxwoods. We would have did that in April. We all get together, and it's not just always us, grieving together. We have paint night, sip and paint. We have sip and paint night, and also that's what C.O.P.S does too. We meet on not just sad occasions. We try to have happy times. We try to make things memorable.
And you talked about your daughter, who's very young, when you lost your husband. The spouses and the families that also have very young children, because you understand that there's a process. The grief is a process, and you have I'll say it's very unique, because it's different when you lose a parent as an adult or a teenager versus a 2-year-old.
Right.
Have you been able to really talk to the parents, talk to their survivors, if they have little kids, and just say, hey, give them hope? Let them know that in the end, it's going to be okay, that it's going to be rocky and bumpy and ugly and happy and, all that kind of rolled into one, but how they can best care for their little ones.
Right. Well, I remember with Francesca, she cried. Anthony used to give her, I wanted him to be a hands-on dad. Anthony would give her a bath every night. He taught her ABCs. She was potty trained before too. And I remember for the first 6 months, and she'd sit by the door and she'd cry, daddy, daddy, daddy. It's heartbreaking, Sam, but she'd cry, daddy, daddy, daddy. But the day she stopped asking for him was really worse for me, because I knew she had truly forgotten him. So then that's when I basically maybe stepped up more, and I would still talk about Anthony, and I would still show pictures and stuff, and that's what I tell my new family members, like this new widow, she has a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. The 6-year-old daughter will remember, her father, she will. And I would have to explain to the widow that maybe, talk about him, as painful as it is. I've always talked about, my husband to Francesca, but I do have to say the day she stopped asking for him was probably the most hurtful day for me. And, this with COVID and being home, I had saved 2 giant totes of things of Anthony's. I kept them around the house for a long time, and then they became sacred, and I started putting them away. My daughter was so young. We went through it this winter, and we were home. There was COVID. We were nesting, we were cleaning up, and she couldn't believe the amount of stuff that I had saved. She's like, Ma, I never knew, you had all the stuff. And I said, you weren't ready. She just turned 25 last week. She was 24 when we did this. I said, you weren't ready. So it's, I'm talking 22 years later. Sometimes it takes, a long time. But for Francesca, it took almost 15 years for her to grieve, her father. Was she not grieving inside? She was. After September 11th, they had something called America's Camp. And they honored the historic families. That's what they called us, because my husband died in 98, not on September 11th. And they were like, wow, if you had children, they can attend the camp. And that really helped, Francesca. It's they no longer have America's Camp. All the children aged out, because September 11th is now 20 years, now. But yeah. She did get to go to America's Camp for 3 years, and it really helped her. It really helped.
That's great. Yeah, if anybody's wondering, so Margaret referenced the officer that was killed yesterday. I'm gonna try and do his name justice here. So please forgive me. Anastasios Tsakos.
Tacos, yeah, the T is silent. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Luckily, I have some Greek friends. Yeah, and oh my gosh, 6 and 3. That's tough. It is just like your husband. You know, I'm sure he got up. You know, he worked the AM shift. He was killed in the morning. He just that wouldn't be. It's not necessarily when we think of line of duty deaths of how we think of police officers being killed. He was struck and killed by it looks like a drunk driver at this point.
Yes.
And we had one recently in Texas, the same way, young Dallas police officer, same thing, drunk driver. You know, people are used to seeing, the police officer in a chase, you know, crashes the cruiser. Now it's shootings, of course, you know, serving warrants and building entries. That's that kind of thing. It just is so important that your organization and what you do. I just want to thank you so much and commend you all, because when you reach out to families that have lost, does it bring back like everything that you went through with Anthony?
What I do remember, I remember being married to a police officer. I remembered the line of duty deaths, and I would remember saying, you know, and my husband would say, "Don't read that. Only sloppy cops die." You know, he was, I guess, just trying to make me feel better. And when they came to my husband's funeral and they would say their names, you know, Patty Gillespie, Liz Sanchez, and I'm thinking, wow, I remember these line of duty deaths. And it, to me, and this is why I attend, you know, the line of duty deaths, because it does mean something. It means something for like this widow, you know, when I meet her, you know, to know that I went through this and I survived, and so will you, and so will you. Because sometimes, you know, you don't see the end in sight. You don't see it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I can only imagine. You mentioned before we started the show that before COVID, you all had a yearly conference.
Yes. A major city conference in Las Vegas. And what they would do is meet with other law enforcements, you know, around the nation. And we'd all go there and they talk about policing, they talk about stuff. And we would always speak at when I say we, Metro New York chapter, C.O.P.S chapter would speak at the convention. And we talk about, you know, what we were about, and when they went back home, maybe they could reach out to their chapter and their family members. But the last year that I spoke in 19, I was looking out there, and just last minute I winged it and I changed it. And I said, I'm not going to talk about the line of duty widow and the children and the families. I'm going to talk about the police officers out there that lose their partner, their colleague, their friend, you know, their locker room buddy. You know, maybe they shared the locker room together. You know, maybe they never worked together. It's hard when you have when you lose someone, you know, working. And I remember 2 weeks before my husband passed away, they were honoring an officer that was killed the year before. And he came home devastated. And he said, Margaret, it's so hard, you know, to lose a partner or to lose someone you work with. He had never lost anyone close, you know, to him, but he saw how it affected the whole team, you know, of the precinct, you know, that precinct. It's hard.
Absolutely. Now, are you guys going to get back to possibly having this?
October 1st, it's scheduled. Las Vegas, here we come.
Okay, when is it? August 1st?
October.
Okay, yeah. In Vegas, right? October.
I will keep you posted.
October. I'm putting it in the comments.
I hope
2021.
2021.
Okay, there we go. And I'm curious, at the conference, do you guys touch on brain health and mental health and grief counseling and how not only the police officers, but the family members can get help?
Right, and that's what C.O.P.S offers, retreats, and all the retreats are in St. Louis, Missouri. You have to sign up for them. They're free. They're free retreats. They're usually paid for by the chapter, and the transportation to get there. And that's what I was talking about. That year is about how to go to a co-workers retreat and meet other people from around the nation, that have also suffered the same loss. And National Police Week was postponed, obviously, and it was postponed it was actually canceled in 2020, and in 2021, it will not happen next month. It's been postponed till October 16th. So this year, hopefully it will happen. That's National Police Week, where they honor peace officers on May 15th, but obviously this year it'll happen in October. In New York, we have a lot of families that we honor, because we also have, besides our line of duty deaths, we have a lot of post 9/11 that are ruled line of duty. So we're honoring over 60 families at Police Week.
Yeah, people, like you said, it's coming up on 20 years. I was right there front and center in Tower 1 when the plane hit it, and was down there just exposed to all the stuff that we found out, months later, what we were actually exposed to. And people don't realize that it's not just who we lost on 9/11. It's also who we continue to lose because of that environmental disaster exposure. And, it's very interesting because there's still testimony going on for help, for assistance, for medical care. And because of this crazy COVID world that we're living in now, everything is tampered down on that side. It's all about, either another police officer shot somebody, or another police officer was shot and killed, or was shot, or it's every single day.
Every day.
How do you, it's unprecedented, right? I mean, this kind of press, and I'll call it pigeonholing, focus on certain things by the press. How do you not get worn out?
All right. I know. I just feel that what's going on and what the press does, the only people that they're hurting, besides the police officers, is also the good, abiding citizens. Like, I feel that policing, one day, they're going to take a step back. They're going to say, why run in to help this one or that one if this is going to happen? I mean, I hope it doesn't get to that, because I know that all the police officers, I know they have it in their heart, and when they're the first ones to run in and help. But it's getting scary out there. It really is. Just the other day, a detective was investigating something. I saw it on the news, and someone poked him with a stick, right in his face in the city. Someone in my husband's precinct, the 6-7, he pulled them over and they threw something like a liquid at them. What?
When I was preparing for the show, and John, hopefully he'll get on here soon. He's still in this meeting. He's texting me. He said, "Oh my God, this happened at the 6-7. You're gonna interview Margaret, and yes, so we're having that's still under investigation, like exactly what it was, but yeah, it's all over social media." That an officer was doing a report, or was out on it was a site visit of some sort, and somebody comes up and wraps him right in the ear, cuts his ear right open, and luckily you see the suspect take off. You see the police, different police officer in uniform, different uniform, take off after him, as well as a concerned citizen who saw the whole thing. And then they're chasing after him. And later on in the video, you hear the horn of the driver where the perp crossed in front of him. So he's wailing on his horn to get the attention. And they did find him and arrest him. But yeah, it is, I can't watch the news. Right. I mean, I get this all across my Facebook feed, so I guess it's the same thing. It's like, oh God, you know, what happened now? And I really believe that I'll go back to what I started the show with this thin blue line. Is that we must hold that line no matter what. No matter what. You're gonna have the police officers. You mentioned partners, right?
Yes.
So you have the retreat for the officers to go. The officers that have partners that complete suicide, no difference. The partner that they work with is no longer there.
Right.
How are you guys addressing that if you are right now?
I know that down in National, and we did talk about it once as a chapter, that they were looking at it. They were just, defining, suicide and how it does affect a police officer. Why are we getting feedback? I hear feedback now. Do you hear that?
Oh, no, I don't.
Oh, I was wondering why. I don't have anything here. I'm going to move my phone out of the way.
Okay.
I think, I think it needs to be addressed. I think it's part of the job. I think, like I said about the intro, really hit home. What do they, you know what I worry about, if I could just 1 second talk about something. When is my daughter, I watched the show called The Rookie, and I enjoy it because I like the guy from Castle that's on it. And they were talking about their rookies, and they're talking about when are they going to get their first, bad thing. And that's what I worry about. I worry about my daughter, like what's going to be, etched in her brain. Like when is
when are they going to get the bad thing here? That's what they're talking about. Okay.
Yes. When are they going to see maybe that, someone that jumped off of, a building and he just splattered on the ground? Or when are they going to see the bad, horrific car accident where unfortunately maybe, a child was in the car and a parent is grieving them? Like these are things that they need an outlet. The officers I'm speaking about, someone to talk to, someone to vent with. A lot of the times, like my husband never came home and talked about his job. My husband, and I know my daughter now too, she doesn't come home and say, hey Ma, this is what happened today at work, but I would hope that, they need someone to talk to. The retreats are a perfect spot to go to, and they could feel that they can say whatever they want or whatever they need to get off.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there a website that for people listening, they can go and look at the retreats and everything that C.O.P.S offers?
Yes. I wish I had this. Oh boy. Let me get my phone. Hi. Yes, there is. Hold on. I'm going to look at my cell phone.
Okay. Yeah, while you're looking up the website, I think it's so great that that you guys are not separating yourself. I mean, like, no, we were founded on, the police survivors, spouses, the family left behind. That it's more inclusive now, because I think it's going to, like you said, give the officers an ability, no matter how their partner died or what, even if it's a distant, hey, my chief died, whatever it is, it gives them the ability to just talk, to be in a safe place. Because let's face it, unless we're surrounded by our own, and we talk about this at our workshops that we just did, is like the number one thing is what is said in this room stays in this room.
Right.
Because you don't want your stuff out there. and that you can participate and speak freely, no matter what it is.
Okay,
And
so
it is help.
I found the email. I didn't find why did I not find?
So if somebody just went on Google and they can Google concerns of police survivors rather than, you wouldn't Google cops because that would come up. Like
Yeah, right. You would have to Google. That's what I'm kind of doing, and I'm sorry, and I should be more prepared. But yeah, it was founded in 1984. A widow that had no outlet, no one else to talk to, and she just started this chapter, and it's like nationwide now. And there's over 54,000 members, and I'm reading, and survivors, and they have retreats, and yeah. So I just Googled concerns, all one word, concerns of policesurvivors.org, and the website came up.
Okay.
And then, state to state, there's all different chapters. In Texas, in Florida, in New York, in California. My brother lives out in Arizona, and I've gone to visit a widow in Arizona, and she's actually their president there.
That's great. Yeah. What happens if, like, you don't have a chapter somewhere, but you get alerted there's been a line of duty death? Will somebody drive, fly? How does that work?
Normally, there should be a chapter within driving distance. There's chapters around the nation, and if not, then they will hear from National. National is the headquarters in St. Louis, Missouri, and they would reach out to the, like we have the police department, but then there's all little towns that have just like the sheriff's office. Like I've gone to the spouses retreat. My first spouse retreat, there was 22 spouses. It was September of 2000. There was 22. When I went, my last retreat that I went to in 2017, there was 280 spouses that went. It was crazy. It was crazy. And they don't want you to stay with 22. There was only 22 of us in 2000, and then in 2001. It was canceled because of September 11th. It was 2 weeks after, so everyone was afraid to fly. And then it took me a few years before I went back. But they don't recommend, like, say I had gone with 8 other widows from New York, but we didn't bunk together. They recommend you just meet somebody new and you stay. It's nothing fancy. It's cafeteria food. You're staying at the YMCA, but you build, friendships to last a lifetime. And again, it's not just for spouses. It's for spouses. It's for parents. It's for coworkers. It's for, retired police officers. You find a retreat that fits you.
Yeah.
It's for adult children. It's for, young children, of officers.
Sure. Yeah. It's friendships and support that lasts a lifetime, and that is what it's all about. And wow, this is I'd heard of C.O.P.S, but you have just opened a whole new world for everybody, for me, and it is, like I said, we don't leave our homes every day feeling invincible. Like we've got, like, our body armor is 100% protection. We're not robots. We hear it over and over again. Well, they signed up for this. No, we are not going out in order to die for the citizens. If it happens because we were in the active mode of protecting the citizens that we swore to protect and serve, that's one thing. But I mean, I just hope that this show tonight allows people to understand that here it is, 1998, it's 2021. Stuff that you talk about is still fresh. It's like the Band-Aid getting ripped off again. It doesn't go away. It doesn't leave you. Your loved one, when they're lost in the line of duty, because that's what we're talking about in the show, or a major illness. Officers that die of a major illness that while still serving, their memory doesn't go away. And like I said, I commend you just with all of the support, and I'm going to look up the Texas chapter for sure. It's so important.
Sam, the Texas widows that come, we love our Texas family members that come. They are just a ball of fun.
Hey, well, I'm an East Coast gal. You know, I was raised in Maryland, so worked myself, in New York. So NYPD, FDNY. I mean, all the guys, and I mean girls included. All the guys. You all hold a special place in my heart. You can probably see behind me. Nice. All the NYPD and the different divisions. I got a lot of patches just for the nature of them helping the Secret Service and my job fulfill our mission, because we could never do it without them. And I just so appreciate your time tonight telling the story. Kudos, 2 thumbs up, high fives, huge hugs to your daughter. And just that heart that is still present in the NYPD, even though some days you go, that allowed her to continue to honor her dad by bringing his badge out of retirement. Yeah. Somebody still has a heart there. They're dealing with a lot on any given day. And, yesterday we have another one. So, just God bless you. God bless your family. God bless everybody in C.O.P.S in your chapter, and continue to do God's work, the hard work, the work that fuels your soul. And I always ask our guests what do you want to say to our first responders that are listening?
I really enjoyed. Thank you for having me on the show. First, I wanted to say, and I really didn't know what we were going to talk about, and I enjoyed it. And I thank you. And what I was going to say is that, when Anthony first died, a lot of people would say to me, time heals all wounds. Time heals all wounds. What I want to say to people out there is time, the truth is yes, time will heal, but the wounds will remain. But that's okay. That's okay. Because look, we're still remembering. We don't want anyone, to go away, but it's how you choose to deal with them. It's how you choose, to carry on, and to go on, every day, knowing that there's people out there that will support you, will have your back. So yeah, maybe, it's that saying, oh, time heals all wounds. You know what? They don't heal. They'll always be there, but you have to learn how to deal with them. And we will get through this. And I felt that I've gotten through it with, family and support from others. My support came from, and this is the platform that we're talking to, fellow people that can relate to me. Like a police officer, they need to speak to other police officers to feel support. Sure. In the background. I don't know. I feel that after Anthony passed away, I knew that there was something, greater that I had to do, and, and be there for either other family members, for the children, for someone. Yeah.
Well, again, we love you guys. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll definitely be in touch. And thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, and like I said, just tell your daughter we'll keep her in our prayers every day, and may she come home safe every day.
Thank you. Sure. Thank you, Sam.
All right. Take care, Margaret. Thank you so much.
Good night.
All right. Good night. Wow. If that didn't get you right here, such a profound, deep show. It is so important. I can't stress this enough, that the memories of the men and women that take that oath, that go out every single day to protect and serve us, our communities, to have a program, first of all, to have a person like Margaret, but to have also have a program like C.O.P.S, Concerns of Police Survivors, doing the work that she does. She said it, while time doesn't really heal the wounds, it does bring closure, and it allows her to be strong and be a role model for those surviving family members and kiddos. So again, much thanks to her. And hey, much thanks to you guys again for tuning in each week. You come, you listen, and you give us feedback. We love it. Hey, if you are tuning in on our YouTube platform, which is Mad Radio Texas, do us a huge jump on over to Facebook. You'll find us at Making a Difference TX. Go ahead and give us a like. And if you're watching on Facebook tonight, hey, Facebook family, do us a huge jump on over to YouTube. So you go to youtube.com and you search Mad Radio Texas. Okay. Support us there. Why? Because the magic number for YouTube is 200. We get to do a whole lot more. We get to reach a whole lot more people with 200 subscribers. You're not signing up for a list or anything like that. You just hit subscribe, and we so much appreciate it. And you know, we can't do this without a lot of tech and a lot of things that go into it. And so if you want to support our show, if you want to support Mad Radio, you can go to our foundation website, which is abadgeofhonor.com, right there. And you'll see donate/Mad Radio at the top. You can click on that and hit the donate button. Folks, every penny counts, okay? I said we just got off doing a workshop for first responders. All the money raised goes to a badge of honor. We are a Texas domestic nonprofit corporation. We are moving right now into our federal 501c3. So that means we can raise money for Texas. So if you're in Texas and you can give whatever it is, God bless you. And to all our first responders out there, you are not alone. You heard it from Margaret, okay? If you're a surviving partner of a police officer that was killed, you are not alone. Reach out to C.O.P.S, reach out to Concerns of Police Survivors, okay? And they can help you out because you're not alone. Another way to support yourself and support the show, on our Facebook page, after we're done here, you can scroll to the top. We got lots of books and stuff. Support the folks that have been on the front lines, that poured their hearts out into telling their story to help others. That's how you support as well. And, you know, I've been told that the most unique way to support the show, and it's a hot topic now in Texas, is to get your Texas license to carry. Go to carryintexas.com, sign up. I am your instructor, and I do the course for you, take you through everything you need to know. So if you're looking to get your Texas license to carry, go ahead and you support Mad Radio. Go to carryintexas.com, and it'll ask you where you heard about it. In the little box, put Mad Radio, so we know. Next week, another great show coming up for you. And again, thank you so much for tuning in. To everybody, all our first responders, our law enforcement, those that serve in our police agencies, Secret Service, Border Patrol, protecting us at home, and those that are serving overseas, protecting our freedom. We thank you. We are praying for you every single day. God bless every single one of you. And until next week, this is Sam and John signing off from Mad Radio. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.